Okay, would you please tell us about the opportunities in studying Canada?
The opportunities to study in Canada are enormous for Turkish students, all the way from high school to university to more advanced degrees. Canada offers across the board in all of these areas a really high quality and varied level of education. For high school students, there's great exposure to English as well as French. And the fascinating thing about Canada, from my point of view, is it offers an educational environment that is multicultural. Canada prides itself on not only tolerating but welcoming and celebrating different cultures. So a student who comes to Canada is exposed not only to North American cultures, but they're exposed to English and French, the founding cultures and languages of Canada, to Aboriginal cultures of the country, as well as cultures from all over the world. It also offers a really fantastic natural environment. Canada boasts some of the greatest natural spaces in the world. And as a student, you have the opportunity, even if you're studying in the biggest city, to step outside your door within an hour to be in wilderness. And few places on earth can really offer that. And it's also safe. Canada is one of the safest countries in the world. So students who come there to study get a very high level of education in a beautiful environment, and where they can relax and be free to study and learn on their own pace. So it offers something for just about everyone.
For example, I've never been to Canada, and there are many students that haven't been to Canada before. So the first thing that comes to mind, it must be cold out there. And for Turkish people, what would you like to say about cold?
Well, Canada, there's parts of Canada that are indeed cold, but Canadians celebrate it. And I think Turkish students who go to Canada will learn to celebrate it too. There's a mix. Okay, if you go to an urban area, for example, the city of Montreal, the subway metro system there is connected with shopping malls underground. I mean, you could spend your life underground out of the cold if you want. But if you're a little bit adventurous, you can be in Ottawa skating on the world's longest skating rink along the canal. You could be skiing. You could be snowshoeing. There's so much to do out in the winter, and Canadians really have to accept a little bit of cold, but we also celebrate it because it offers opportunities to do all kinds of wonderful things. And sitting in a hot tub, outdoors in the winter, there's no experience like that. It's terrific when you can do that in Canada.
That's great. And for example, I'm a student. I decided to study abroad as a high school student, for example. Why shall I choose Canada, not, for example, England or the States or any other country? Why Canada?
Well, for many reasons. Some of that I've mentioned, the natural beauty, the quality of the education. But in addition to that, I'd have to say costs. And in reality, Canada offers a very affordable education system for all students, including international students, that's very competitive and probably cheaper than destinations in Europe or the US. We have, in a sense, a subsidized education system, both private and public as well, that offer really, really affordable alternatives for students. So that's one reason, and it's not sacrificing quality. Canada's standards of education, from high school through university and beyond, are well recognized by universities around the world. To give you an example, we've seen a boom in students from China coming to Canada, enormous boom. And there's not enough schools in Canada for Chinese students. So what's happening is a lot of Canadian high schools are now offering their programs in China. And they're filling up high schools with Canadian curriculum because it's very well recognized that if you have a Canadian degree, you can go anywhere in the world with it. And so that would be among the top advantages, I would say.
I was thinking about asking about this. What about, for example, if I graduate from a Canadian high school, what are my chances to study, for example, at an Ivy League university or so? Can you give some examples of students?
Yeah, I mean, I would just have to say, you still have to be pretty good to get into the Ivy schools. You still have to be good to get into Canadian universities, which can compete very well with those schools as well. So there's no guarantee. But if you do well in Canadian high school, that will show very well for an Ivy League education anywhere in the world. In fact, because it's a known standard. Canadian high school students routinely perform very well on international score tests, and so you come out with that degree or that mark in a Canadian high school, and the Ivy League schools and the other schools know what that means. They understand what that means. If you're coming from another high school program in another country that's not as well known or recognized, you might have to back up those high marks with some other evidence. But in Canada, it's not necessary.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice